touchdown, touchdown. Time to get Jalen this ring. You don't really want to start a thing. This a bird game nation, baby. It's a Philly thing. Hater, and you looking like you type trash. I'm just here calling on Philly, the podcast. And we can call a man dog or watch Miles score off the handoff. Rest of the division, your man saw Jackson like Sean, hunting like Randolph. Season here, really time to do them in. Your boy Philly Fresco. Thanks for tuning in.
What is going on, you guys? It's your boy Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco, joined as always by my guy Brandon. Now today is a little bit earlier, a little bit of a little earlier lunch session, but I didn't come alone. We brought a guest. We brought a very special guest. You guys probably know him off of 97.5 The Fanatic, Jamie Lynch. How's it going, man?
What's up, guys? Thanks for the invite to come on. Anytime I can talk a little birds is always a good day.
Definitely. We're going to have a little fun, man. So let's get right into it because my man said he got a cheesesteak to get to. I'm not going to hold them up from that. So we're going to
– apparently.
Exactly, yeah. So we're going to hop right into it, man. A lot has happened over this season, or off season, I should say, and the season. So I kind of want to go back a little bit and just kind of get your opinion and your thoughts on when the whole Doug Pederson firing happened. You know, what were your initial thoughts when that occurred?
I think Doug was at peace with it, oddly. I think he knew that going to bat for Press Taylor wasn't what they wanted to hear, and I think he was okay with sticking up for his guys and also getting kind of an excuse to get out of here. I think things were horrendous last year, and that's not to excuse anybody. Doug wasn't good last year. He had his worst year. Carson wasn't good. He had his worst year. And then obviously it all lays at the feet of Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie, and they had their share of it. So I think he was kind of at peace with leaving. I think maybe next year he'll get another opportunity. It's a shame the way it all ended from all three aspects of it. But something tells me Doug's okay.
Right. And just kind of keeping on the way it ended, just your quick opinion on how that last game with Washington, how we quote unquote tanked. Do you think that it was like the right move so we can stay at this sixth spot? Or do you think they just did it very awkwardly and just kind of made it so obvious that it was kind of sore for other people to see?
Yeah, I understand the optics of it were terrible. What they should have done was just not had Jalen come out at halftime. If you do that, pulling him later in the third quarter makes it look even worse. So I don't think they cared. I don't think Doug does it unless Jeffrey and Howie were on board with it. I think it was the right decision to stay at 6. So I was cool with it because all I care about is the Eagles. And I'll take the 6th pick rather than the 9th or 10th pick or whatever it ended up being. So I was cool with it. I thought they should have just benched him at halftime. And then it's optically a little better at that point.
Yeah, I felt so bad for the Giants that we kept them out of the playoffs. You know, I don't know how I sleep at night, you know, knowing we did that. But so let's kind of keep on that for a second, you know, kind of talking about what's changed, right? So Carson Wentz obviously is no longer a Philadelphia Eagle. We at this channel have tried to close the book on it. It's a lot harder than you'd think. Everybody always wants to talk about it. Yeah. So I want to ask you just how everything went down, you know, the trade, everything, just kind of what's your overall thoughts? Now, 2020 hindsight is 2020. So, you know, looking back, what are your thoughts about it all?
You know, I was wrong, much like a lot of people. Like I thought, you know, in 2017, we had the next quarterback for 12 years and we were set and this and that. And I thought at the time, Howie locking him up to that extension was setting the market. And then 2 years later, it was going to look like a great deal. And I was wrong. And a lot of people were wrong. He was horrible last year. There's no denying that. Was it a horrible situation around him? Yeah, it was. But now that you look back on the Joe Santoliquito story, you know, the Josina Anderson leaks, this and that, there seems to be a lot of unfortunate drama that surrounds him. And he, from afar, appears to be a divisive figure in that locker room. So I'm happy. I'm at peace with it. I'm ready for a new chapter. I think it's kind of a fresh slate for a lot of guys, including Jalen Hurts and a lot of those younger guys in the locker room. So I'm cool with it. It's unfortunate the way it all went down. It really derailed the Eagles' plan. And this year they're in cap hell. Next year it will be a little better, but they got to find a quarterback all over again. If Hurts can be that guy, we'll find out this year. It's a coin flip with him. I think it could go either way, and we'll know soon enough. So, it sucks. It derailed the Eagles' plans for sure, and it is what it is. I thought the value they got was fair considering the season he was coming off of and everybody knowing that he had asked for a trade.
All right. And do you think the silence of Carson Wentz kind of added to the drama itself, or do you think that maybe him being silent was part of just like his agent saying, just don't say anything, just leave it as it is, and we'll just keep moving on to the next steps?
Yeah, and it's possible the Eagles said, hey, look, we'll give you your trade request. Just keep everything out of the public for now. That's possible. I think the agent probably said, you're not going to do yourself any good by talking. When Doug was fired, for him to not come out and say something, I think because there was still a possibility he was going to be here. He wanted out, but ultimately the Eagles have control. I thought that was a bad message to send to the rest of the locker room, that you're not publicly speaking out on behalf of your coach. I don't think it would have done him any harm to say, look, last year was awful. I was awful. I have to be better. I want to correct what went wrong. You could have made vague statements that would have put a lot of people at ease without addressing it head on. So if I was his agent, I probably would have said, hey, let's do a generic, I want to correct what went wrong and I got to get better, and make it about me. I don't think that does any harm ultimately. But if the Eagles said, keep this hush hush because we're trying to trade you, then, I'd keep it hush hush.
Yeah, and I think everything, like you said earlier about the tank, I think optics of the whole situation were just terrible. It is what it is. I hope he plays 75%. So shout out to all of our subscribers. We did it. We talked about Carson. We're gonna move on now. So let's talk about hopefully the quarterback of the future. What are your thoughts of the 4-game? I know it's small, 4-game sample of Jalen Hurts and what you see for him moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, projecting a quarterback from college to the pro is the toughest thing in sports. So much has to go right. It has to be a right situation. It has to be a right mindset, all of that. I think intangible-wise, he's perfect. I think he's a worker. He's a coach's son. He knows how to handle the media. He dealt with it at Alabama. He dealt with learning a new system at Oklahoma in 1 year and became a Heisman runner-up. He's got a strong arm. He's got a quick release. But again, so many things have to go right. Last year, I almost throw out because there were some things I liked, some things I didn't like. His second half numbers were concerning. But, almost any rookie quarterback is going to have those pitfalls of defensive coordinators figuring you out. So the most important thing to me is just surrounding him this year in the best possible environment to be successful. And Brandon Brooks and Lane Johnson returning is enormous for the development of Jalen. I think if you get a Jamar Chase or a Kyle Pitts in here, that's enormous for Jalen Hurts and being successful. So, look, Jalen Reagor, I think, anybody that closes the book on him yet is foolish. He's going to be there. Hopefully a Jamar Chase or a Kyle Pitts is there with him. Then you got Miles Sanders, who I think will return. I think he struggled with Carson's struggles last year and just straight up being neglected in the running game sometimes. So I think the offensive line is going to allow things to kind of fall into place a little bit here. And I really hope Jamar Chase is catching balls from Jalen Hurts this year.
Right. Speaking of Jamar Chase, what are your thoughts on our wide receivers? Because we have a very young wide receiving core.
Yeah.
And our veterans are now gone, essentially. What are your thoughts on them? And obviously, I think we're all hoping Jamar Chase falls to us at 6. But let's say he doesn't. What are some thoughts on this wide receiver core right now?
There were some things I saw from Reagor that I liked. There was also some things I didn't like. But again, it's a rookie. You can't really fairly judge a guy until probably about 3 years into their career. So, it's tough to know for sure. But I like some things. Travis Fulgham, I think the book unfortunately got out on him after those 5 games or whatever it was, where it was jam his ass at the line. And he doesn't have the strength and knowledge to get off of that yet. I think his hands and his ability to go get the ball and all that are great. He had a good catch radius from what we saw. I think he's just got to learn and maybe get a little stronger and learn how to get off the line. But I'm excited at him, competing for a job next year. I think Greg Ward's a steady guy to just have as kind of that Jason Avant type of role. He's never going to set the world on fire, but he can have sure hands for you on some tough routes. And then I think everybody falls into place if you get a Jamar Chase, because then he's your true X wide receiver. He makes everybody else's job easier. Jalen Reagor, to me, Reagor and Ward kind of are like the same. I think Rager's going to ultimately be a slot guy. I hope I'm wrong, but I think he could do that role pretty well. So we'll see. I think getting that Pitts or Chase allows everybody else to fall into their natural positions. And that's what you got to see. You got to see what the youth is this year. That's what the whole entire season's about. So you got to figure out what your building blocks are, and hopefully Fulgham and Reagor can be pieces that will be here a long time.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like a lot of people are thinking this is, well, it probably is a rebuild, but it might be a quick rebuild depending on how good these young guys are. You know, we've seen this before. We've seen this when we were switching over to Lane Johnson and Fletcher. Yeah. And, you know, everybody at one point was a rookie. Everybody at one point had to prove themselves. So we don't know what we have, to your point. So I want to ask you this. We talked about, you know, accountability, taking accountability for yourself and your actions, your play. And it seems like Nick Sirianni is all about that. So just off your first, you know, interviews and talking to him here, I want to hear him talk a little bit. What do you think about Nick Sirianni?
It's a risky hire. There's no doubt about that. I mean, he's the same age as me. So his experience, his resume isn't, you know, that outstanding. They're definitely taking a risk. But I think what you saw in the press conferences probably isn't what you see in a locker room, what you see in an interview process. I think the guy's probably got a very high football IQ. He obviously loves football. Like, you can just tell he's one of those coaches type of kid, you know, loves coaching, loves the game, loves living in the building. So those are positives. He's got an extreme enthusiasm. I think that can be infectious. Definitely to younger guys, because this Eagles roster is going to be a really young team with a lot of guys trying to prove it. And if he can get them to buy into what he's selling, where they have to prove it together, you know, that's a real thing that I think young players can build on. Because if he's out there on the field every day in practice going, look, you know, he stressed fundamentals. Your footwork wasn't right here. You're not doing the right arm move here. If he's stressing all those little things, those are the types of things that fall through the cracks after you win a Super Bowl. So if he focuses on that stuff and the young guys know, all right, he's going to help me survive in the league for 6 more years, that's something they can buy into. And, you know, I think that's real. It's a good mix of veteran and young. You know, that leaves your future kind of murky. But for this year, I kind of think they're going to be a little better than some people think. I say that not knowing what the hell Gannon and Sirianni are all about. Like, they're giant question marks. So I'm just giving them the benefit of the doubt at this point. I don't know for sure what they are. We'll find out, and we'll overanalyze it as always.
I will say one thing. I feel like when Doug Pederson got hired, everybody hated it. Like, I feel like, you know, media to fans, everybody was trashing it. So I'm a little nervous that everybody likes Gannon and everybody likes Sirianni, because it's like, you know, maybe that's not a good thing. But I do want to bring this up real quick, because you did bring up Pitts, and one of our channel members wanted to ask, are you okay with Pitts if Chase isn't there? Would that be your second guy?
Oh, very much so. I think this dude is what they need more than anything is a can't miss person, a can't miss prospect. And to me, Chase, Pitts, probably Sewell, and I think Micah Parsons is phenomenal too. I think those 4 are like can't miss players. So I'm fine with any of those 4. They're not going to take Parsons because they're not going to do that with a linebacker edge rusher that early. I think Pitts is phenomenal. I mean, he's from the area, which is cool. So you pull for the kid for that reason alone. But I mean, he's 245 pounds and he ran a 4.4 yesterday. He made every tough catch in the book at Florida last year. I mean, there's clips where he's cooking Patrick Surtain's ass off of the line and making a tough catch. He's going to project. He's going to be a jackknife. You could put him in some 12 personnel. You can put him out wide. You can do whatever the hell you want with that dude. So if I'm an offensive-minded coach, he's really appealing to me, because you could do a lot with him. And the quote I can't shake, I think it was either Deion Sanders or a scout, that just rattles around my brain. He's too fast for linebackers and he's too big and strong for safeties. So he's a mismatch over the middle of the field all the time. So I'm very cool with Kyle Pitts if that ends up being the pick.
Yeah, and speaking like going back to like Nick Sirianni a little bit, he's coming into a situation that obviously your franchise quarterback is gone, and kind of like the face of our offense in Zach Ertz may be on his way out.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this whole Zach Ertz situation and how he was just a guy that Eagles loved? We redrafted him. He developed into this great tight end, and now he's potentially going to be out this season.
It's kind of a sad way to end his Eagles career. Look, I think that blow up with Howie last year kind of led to maybe some mopiness. I think look, when it's a bad year, it's easy to fold in on yourself, especially if you think I might not have another shot at a contract again. So I think he just wanted to have that security, which every NFL player does. So that's unfortunate. This is a guy that peed blood for the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, I'm forever gonna love Zach Ertz, even though I called him No Yak Zach for a long time and all that. But the dude made the biggest touchdown in Eagles history. He's forever gonna have a special place in our hearts. It's unfortunate to kind of see it end this way. And to be honest, it looks like Buffalo and LA were like the two most likely landing spots, and now those are kind of like maybe those trade offers were rescinded. So I don't know what the hell's gonna happen with them.
Yeah, I think the worst thing we can do is cut him. I've been called a hater. I've been called, Carson Wentz hater because I said I don't like how he leaves. But I'm like you said, I'm totally behind Zach. Like, if you need to go, man, I understand. Yeah. I still love you, bro. It is what it is. I still
think he's got another year or two of productive football in him. So I don't want to cut him either. I'd rather just play him and have another year of Ertz, Goddard, and maybe Kyle Pitts and good luck defense. Exactly. So I think he'll still be productive, but I don't want to cut him. I'm with you there.
Yeah, that would be terrible. And I feel like we're doing that with everybody. So let me ask you real quick, because you did bring up Howie. So I want to ask you this, because we were talking to a Chicago Bears podcast yesterday, and they were talking about how their front office has probably the longest leash in the NFL. And it made me think about our GM and our, front office leash. So how far do you think, how do I put this? How much more leash do you think Howie has? Is he on the hot seat this year?
I think he's got to get, because they have 4 picks in the top 85, I want to say. I think he's got to get a minimum of 2 starters out of those picks that contribute in a real way in their rookie years, and probably a third guy that can maybe steal a starting job by the end of the year. I think if he does that, he's going to preserve his job, because the fact he survived this long is shocking. And, the Jeff McClain story basically says, that's Lurie's guy, and he gets all of his information from Howie, and Howie he trusts. So I think he's really going to have to screw up the draft, and that's the only way he's going to be gone. I fully expect him here for probably another 2 years at least. I think he's going to get another shot at free agent period next year, with the money, with Carson finally off the books and some other money coming off. Unless he screws it up really bad, I think he'll be here for at least 2 more years.
Not what we want to hear.
Do you think that he's doing a decent job right now this offseason, kind of restructuring contracts, getting a couple free agents?
I think the Anthony Harris signing was great. I was really pumped by that signing, considering where they are. You have to look at it all relatively for the situation they're in. And look, did he kick the can down the road a little bit more? Yeah. Do I care if Jeffrey Lurie's paying these guys bonus money up front? No, I don't. So to go from, I think they were projected $59 million over at season's end, and to get under and compliant and still be able to sign a Flacco and a Harris, I think there's probably one more minor move coming. I wouldn't mind taking a shot on a cornerback. Adoree Jackson got paid, which blew me away. But somebody, Kevin King, I think, signed yesterday. That type of guy, a high caliber first round guy that maybe didn't have his best years on his previous team. Take a shot there and then draft a guy as well. And I think if they do that, I'd consider it a successful offseason.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at that. I would be happy
Just
about
let's
that.
go up the draft.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's easier said than done, I think, especially with Howie. So let me ask you this. You brought him up, Joe Flacco. What were your initial thoughts with that? I mean, Philly Joe. My name's Joe, so I'm a little upset about the Philly Joe thing. We're gonna have to work that out. But
we can call him Audubon Joe if you want.
There we go. I like that better.
I loved it. I thought it was the perfect signing. I know pretty good knowledge that he's at the point in his career where he's cool being a mentor. He's 36 years old. He's getting a nice payday. He doesn't have to move his family. He's 5 miles from work. It's just a perfect situation for him. I think with such a young coaching staff, Joe's pretty much the same age as most of the coaches. So to get that quarterback mindset in the quarterback room, again, it's all about supporting Jalen Hurts. And if they know for a fact that Joe is cool being that mentor, because look, I had people on Twitter, well, look what he said about Drew Lock. Yeah, he also thought he was competing for a job back then too. So it's a different, like every athlete gets to the point in their career where they know, all right, I'm not that guy anymore. And I'm pretty sure Joe is at that point. So I think having that mind in the quarterback room, going through tape, going through practice, going through all the little things that help make a quarterback great is an extreme positive for the Eagles. And if you had to overpay $500,000 or $1 million to get him, I was all on board with it. So I think it was the perfect situation. He's not good enough that you have to worry about a quarterback competition. Also not good enough to be a backup where everybody in the stands is going to be going, give me Flacco at the first struggles. I just don't want people to turn on Jalen because he's going to struggle. He's essentially a rookie quarter. He's going to struggle. So I just don't want people turning on him. I want him to have his chance at 16 or 17 games and go perform, and let's see what you are.
I agree. I even said that the other day when we were doing a live, we were talking about Joe Flacco and how I believe that bringing him in, if he, like you said, if he's in there knowing that he's going to be that mentor kind of role, that's great. But I feel like if we would have went and like traded for a Nick Foles, then we would have had everyone screaming, bring Foles in if Jalen Hurts was messing up compared to Joe Flacco. No one's going to yell for Joe Flacco.
I couldn't believe Jeremy Fowler even put that out there. I was like cursing your name. I was like, why would you even put that thought in people's heads? It's insane to bring Nick Foles back. What quarterback goes back to a team for a third time? Like, it's never done. And he was making $6.5 million. No, it was insane.
Yeah, see, I feel like Brandon was taking a shot at me right there because I definitely wanted Nick Foles back, but it is what it is. It is what it is. So I got two. Yeah, I got two more questions for you, real quick. Sure. One more member question. Lindy Enzo wants to know, what are your thoughts? Do you think we should go after Steve Nelson from the Steelers?
Linebacker, right? I'm blanking.
I think cornerback.
Yeah, look, I'm in for kicking the tires on any cornerback that you can get for cheap. Sure, if he's coming from the Steelers defense, I'm in.
Definitely, yeah. And throw us Micah too.
It costs you much. At this point, you just want 1 and 2 year deals, so that you're out of these contracts before the new NFL TV deal is up. As right now, I always say this about Major League Baseball. There's no bad 1 year deals in Major League Baseball. I'm viewing the Eagles as that same situation right now. There's no bad 1 year contracts.
Yeah, I'll be down with that. So now, last question I want to ask you. Everybody, we've been talking about this for the past couple of weeks. You know, it's everybody wants to be positive, but it's a little bit hard to. I want to ask you, do you think this team can be a playoff team this year? Do you think that there's a way that they can become a good team this year?
The only way they can be is if Jalen Hurts is a real deal NFL viable quarterback one option. I think it's funny. I think they're going to be better than some people think, and I have them kind of like six wins, maybe 7. For them to get to 8 or 9, which I'll probably take, Jalen Hurts has to be real. He has to be like real deal. I think the offense isn't going to be a problem. Anthony Harris, I love. I still have cornerback concerns. So to the point on Nelson, sure, bring him in. I think Avante is better suited for the slot as opposed to the outside. So they're going to draft a cornerback, but I don't think playoffs are a realistic option now. I wish I could say yeah.
Yeah, you gotta reach for the straws sometimes. It is what it is, man. But hey, Jamie, I appreciate you so much coming on here, man. Just chopping it up about some football.
Thanks for thinking.
So, and don't when you're out there eating your cheesesteak, don't forget us. You can send us one if you want. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be mad at that.
Yeah.
But shout out to everybody in the chat that chilled out. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. But other than that, y'all know what it is, man. It is Fly Eagles Fly. We are out here. Peace.
See you guys.